So just for those of you who are not familiar, I haven't met before, my name is James Osborne. I'm a non-exec director and advisor to the recruitment sector and co-founder and chairman of the Recruitment Network. And we run these sessions all the time. Our objective is very simple. We want to help support the industry as much as we possibly can, give back as much as we possibly can, and give you as many tips and tricks and techniques and ideas that you can implement without having to spend any money on buying playbooks and guides and blueprints and all the other stuff that everyone's trying to sell you at the moment. So this is very much about just hopefully giving you some practical things to take away. If you've been in any of my sessions before, you know I speak like a road train and super fast. So we are recording today's session, so you'll get a recorded copy of today's session. And so if you want to play it back on a slightly slower speed, you're more than welcome. And we'll also send you a copy of all the slides and all the tools I'm going to share with you today and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I'm going to rattle through this, try and make it as useful as possible. If you've got any questions at any stage, feel free to pop them into the chat or into the Q&A. I can't promise I'll be able to answer them all, but hopefully we'll, if not, we'll be able to answer them afterwards for you anyway, retrospectively. So let's get cracking with this. Today we're talking about rethinking your business development and your business development strategy in particular. Just to introduce TRN and who we are a large global community all over the world. We work with recruitment leaders. We're a bunch of advisors, trainers, mentors and coaches, and we support our members, support recruitment companies and all their staff and enable them to do three things, which I think are super important, which is improving performance, productivity and profitability. The three things we obsess about and the three things hopefully you're obsessing about as well. We have a lot of stuff going on across the TRN community at the moment. Those of you on the call who are members, just to remind you, we've got the Accelerate event happening on the 27th of Jan. So what's that? About 2 weeks today, actually. That's in London. There'll be about 250 of you coming along to that. I think we've got a few final spaces we can squeeze in if anybody's interested in coming along to that. It's always free for club members as always of TRN, so there's no cost to it at all. But it's going to be an amazing day. And the reason why we're so looking forward to this one in particular is I'm launching and we are releasing the new Accelerator Framework program that we've built. This is basically a 2026 guide on how to grow a recruitment company, how to squeeze more out of it, whether you're a solo operator, whether you're a 300-person business, everywhere in between. We're really excited about this. We've been working on this. And at the Accelerate Huddle in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be running members the whole way through this framework from start to finish and how to build out your strategic plan for 2026. If any of you are interested in finding out more about this, let me know. I'll be releasing information about the Accelerator framework over the course of the next couple of weeks as well. We've also got something really exciting to share. So as some of you know, in 2024, I built a BD playbook. I was concerned that many of the industry didn't actually have a guide or a playbook or anything when it comes to sales. We then created a new one last year, which was the RevOps playbook, which was bringing in a whole RevOps strategy into BD. If any of you haven't got a copy of those and you want a copy of those, just give me a yes or a thumbs up in the chat or whatever you can do on these things, and we'll make sure we get a copy sent out to you so you can have that. You can bastardize it, use it as much as you like, and it's a guide, it's a business development plan that you could use. It works. We've been rolling it out for the last couple of years. We've had some great results off the back of it. However, this year, in fact, in about 2 weeks' time, 2.5 weeks' time, I'm going to be launching Velocity, which is a brand new playbook that I've been working on, which brings together all the elements of the BD playbook, all the elements of the RevOps playbook, and a lot of the AI stuff that we've done as well. And it's basically going to be, I think, the ultimate BD playbook for recruitment businesses and recruiters who want to be both future fit and future relevant. And this is a really important part of what we're working on at the moment. So if any of you are interested in that, again, just let me know. We'll get a copy of that across to you. There's no charge for this. We want to make sure that members of TRN are using this as much as they possibly can. And you've got something to build upon. The whole point around BD is that many people just don't have a plan or a strategy, so we're just doing stuff and hoping it might work. That is not good enough anymore, especially in this type of market, and I think you'll miss opportunities. So there's 3 guides and playbooks there for you. We know they work. They're going to be brilliant, and we'll help you with that. Just so you know as well, if you are a member of TRN, on top of that, we're going to be rolling out a whole toolkit, a load of BD workflows and guides, some training courses, both for the leaders of the business, but also the consultants within the business, and a whole team of AI agents to support the Velocity framework as well. So that's all free, as always, for TRN members. It all goes live on the February the 2nd, the Monday, February the 2nd after the huddle. I look forward to sharing that with you as well. So let me know if you're interested in that. Keep doing the AI stuff that we've got on the Mastery Project. As you know, there's a 12-week challenge on TRN World for you to access. If you're basically, it's the idiot's guide on how to use AI. It's a big part of the BD process as much as anything else at the moment. So if you want to get into the teeth of that, just get onto the TRN World platform and use that. And we've just launched social scaling last week. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. Last week, we've got 100 members on that. It's a 6-week, or it's a 6 to 12 week training course all around your personal branding. We have this is our second course that we've run now. The last one we had some great results off the back of it. So make sure you're booked onto the next cohort. The success of this has been great. We've got 100 members over, as I say, on it, 103 in fact at the moment. And we'll be launching a new cohort very shortly. So if you're interested in that, reach out to member support team. We'll book you onto that. It's completely free again, and it's basically how to beat the LinkedIn algorithms, how to get a social LinkedIn profile that's really working for you, and that's converting into business. And obviously it's a big part of the BD process. You'll see a lot of this stuff on the TRM Well platform. Just so you know, if you are members, we've just released the new AI agents within the TRM Well platform now. So if you're searching for stuff on TRM world, you can now use the AI platforms to be able to do so. It's absolutely off the scale brilliant, and it transforms your ability to search on the TRM Well platform as well. So make sure you're on that. Make sure you're having a good look around. Again, everything on there is free, and everything in there has been updated on a day-to-day basis. So huge amounts of content and tools and guides and everything else that you need to do what it is that you need to do. And then finally, obviously, if you're not a member of TRM, we are welcoming new members every month. We'd love you to come and join us if you're interested. If you're a solo or you want to join us on the Plus or Club membership, then we'll certainly be following up with you and reaching out to you if you are interested. So that's TRN. That's what we're up to. It's really, really working. It's been a great year last year. I think 2026 is going to be a fascinating year moving forward. And I think that we're going to see some amazing recruitment companies built off the back of what we've gone through over the last 18 months, what we've learned about what works in a recruitment company and what doesn't work in a recruitment company. And a big part of that is sales, which is what we're here to talk about today. So just before we deep into this, I just want to remind everybody on the call that sales is as much about increasing the value of your existing customer base as it is about winning new business, new logos, and building up new pipeline. You need to be bloody good at both. I'm just going to put that caveat in here. We're going to focus on new business development today. But I do just want to remind you that if you want to win or you want to increase your sales tomorrow, just focus on the low-hanging fruit, which is what we refer to as Operation Goldmine. It's a whole program that we've rolled out many, many times before across hundreds of recruitment companies. It bloody well works. It's really, really simple. It's not complicated, but the impact is huge. And it's all about how do you squeeze more out of what you've already got. Every board meeting I've been in so far this year, every AGM at the end of last year and going into this year, every board strategy that I've been working with all the companies I advise, we've always started with basically how do we increase penetration with our existing customer base, get more out of them, get more jobs out of them, go up the food chain with them, get more embedded with them, increase the values of them, etc., etc. So if you're not thinking about that already, then don't even worry about new business development. Let's focus on the existing stuff that we've already got. And we've got great examples and case studies from members who have done this. They've gone through this. This is Laura from OA. Who found over £7 million worth of business that was sitting right within their client base using Operation Goldmine. She wrote about this on social media. So the opportunity's there. It's really, really simple. Again, if any of you are interested in any of this and you'd like to find out more about Operation Goldmine, then please just let us know, reach out, drop us a line or give us a thumbs up now, whatever. The team are on the call, by the way. So every time you're giving us a thumbs up, it reminds us to send you stuff afterwards so we know that sort of thing. So I'm happy to help that with you. That's simple. It's low-hanging fruit before we move into sales itself. But let's talk about business development as a thing. And I'm going to be really, really clear with this. I've been in this industry for a bloody long time. I'm a salesperson. I started out in recruitment sales. And to me, sales has always been two things. It's an art and it's a science. The art is basically your ability to do sales. Now, how do you hold yourself? How do you manipulate a sales meeting and et cetera, et cetera? And the science is all the tools and the data and the clever sort of calculations that sit behind the sales process. You've got to understand both. I think we've lost the art and the science of selling. I'm absolutely convinced by it in our industry. And what we end up doing instead is just lots of the same sort of stuff and hoping it might work. That's not good enough anymore. The amount of conversations I have with recruitment leaders and recruiters saying, oh, it's so tough out there at the moment, it's hard to win business. And then you look at what they're doing, you look at the processes, the style of what they're doing, and it's just not good enough. So if you want to fix this, then stop bloody talking about it, take a step back and think about what the hell you're doing and how you're doing it. And then hopefully we can build a strategy that's going to make an absolute difference this year, rather than being another tough year for lots of people as they're fighting to win business. If you get the science piece right, you can then measure it, and then you can look at all the knobs and dials within your business that you can tweak and turn that improve sales as you go. And that's the whole point behind it, which is what we're going to talk about. But the secret of change is to focus all your energy on fighting the old stuff, but on building the new stuff. So we're going to focus on how do we change now, because sales has changed and the B2B buying process has changed. If we understand that, then we can understand how we can potentially change our sales strategy as well. So let's have a look at it. Now, I say this absolutely true. The core principles of sales have not changed in recruitment. I want to make that really, really fundamentally clear. I'm not one of these these new age people are going to say, don't pick up the phone anymore, just do marketing, or don't do this or don't do that. Rubbish. The core principles haven't changed, and I don't think ever will change. Sales is a numbers game. The more activity you do, the more placements you will make, the more deals you will do. Fact. There's nothing getting away with that. People buy when they trust you, even more so than ever before today. So your ability to get trust in the relationship with your prospect customers is critical, especially in a world full of AI where nobody believes half the things that you see online anymore. You need to understand the buyers well better than they do themselves. We've got to act as recruitment consultants, advise our customers, consult with our customers, teach them what they don't know about their markets already. That's what the whole point of being a great, valuable salesperson is. When your customers are buying from you, their problems get prioritized before solutions get purchased. So we've got to talk to your customers about their problems. We've got to unearth their problems. We've got to challenge their problems. We've got to make them feel the pain in their problems as much as anything else. If they feel the pain, they understand their problems, they're more likely to buy, they're more likely to go through a change process. People want to buy from you, absolutely, but they don't want to be sold to. This is really, really important. The old days of banging the phones and selling. I had a call literally this morning, just before this started, from someone trying to sell me another event package because someone had pulled out from some cricket match or something and they wanted me to sell me a table for 10 for half the price type stuff. And it was just talking at me, trying to sell to me. I don't want to buy from them. If I want to buy from them, I will buy from them. We have to enable that buying process to happen. Remember, the customer will decide the value of your products and your services, not you. So it's really important to be clear about how we generate value and perceive value in the buying process, in the selling process, I should say. Buying decisions are emotional, but then they're then justified logically. So again, this is where the art and science kicks in. The art is about getting emotional buy-in to wanting to engage with you as a recruiter. The science is the logical justification of why they should be able to use you. And then ultimately, credibility is not just about lots of noise on marketing. How much noise have you seen this week alone on social media, on LinkedIn, where people are just trying to prove that they are brilliant and prove they are busy, etc. Credibility with your target audience is earned through proof of delivery, not just by how noisy you are on marketing. So these core principles have never changed. So if you think sales is some weird world now that we live in, it's not. The core principles haven't changed. But what has changed is the wrapping, how you approach sales, how you get in front of customers, how you engage with customers. If you can understand that and believe that, then the core things that we've always done will always work. But how we do it will get us better conversions. And that's what this is all about. So buyers do most of their research before they even speak to you. You know that. They're more informed than ever before. You are more informed than ever before you make a buying decision. So we need to make sure when your customers are researching you, what they're finding and what they're seeing is all the stuff that you want them to hear and understand about you. Buying decisions tend to make more than by one person these days. So there's a group of different people that make a buying decision. In our business in Australia, my finance director had to have a relationship with all the finance directors of all of our target customers. Why? Because I knew their finance directors would also be involved in the decision-making process. So we want to build relationships, not just with the decision maker, but with all the decision influencers as well. Really important. Your trust and credibility in you as a person, in you as a service delivery is more important than your brand size. We're seeing it time and time again. The market share is being ripped away from some of the big recruitment companies, and the small recruitment companies, the SMEs and the solos, are picking up more and more business that they're probably punching well above their weight, which I think is brilliant because they built trust and credibility. It doesn't really matter who their brand is and their brand size. What really matters is that have they got that trust and credibility with their customer base. Your content, the stuff that you're talking about online, will influence the decision making as much as your sales conversations, as much as your calls that you're having. And remember, sales is no longer linear. Buyers use multiple channels to make buying decisions. So you can't just do one thing every day and hope it will work. The amount of recruiters I speak to who say, "What do you do for sales every day?" "Oh, I spec out candidates." "What else do you do?" "No, that's it. I just spec out candidates all day long." All right, fine. That may work possibly, but you're really limiting your ability to do so. So you have to use multiple channels like your customers are doing when they're looking to make a buying decision. Price is important, of course it is, but risk reduction is more important. Please do not tell me that your customers are trying to reduce costs at the moment. They are not. And if you go around if your sales approach is about undercutting and trying to win business on the cheap, you've got this completely wrong. What your customers are looking for is to reduce risk, get better return on investment. They want value, return on investment. That is more important than reducing costs, and I can guarantee that now. And remember, buying cycles are longer. We talk about speed kills deals and time kills deals and that sort of good stuff. The reality is the typical buying cycle is much, much longer, and it pauses and it restarts, as you would have felt in last year in particular. Our job as recruiters is to take control of the buying cycle. Think about how you can manipulate the buying cycle to take control of it, etc., etc. So all these things are the sort of the new things that are impacting the way the traditional stuff around sales is happening. The core principles haven't changed, but the wrapping has changed. So that's why buyers more and more and more than ever today want proof, they want data, they want case studies. They don't just want promises and hope. That's that risk reduction piece that we've been talking about before. So understand those principles, and then let's bring that into your sales strategy as much as anything else. So if you're just doing the same thing that you've always done and expecting to get the same results, as we know, that is madness. It's just very simple as that. And that's exactly what a lot of recruitment companies, a lot of recruiters did back in 2025. They just did a lot of the same sort of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, that if you do more of the same sort of thing, you're probably going to get a slightly better result than you did before. But is it going to significantly change stuff? I don't think it is. We keep the principles, but we now need to start changing the wrapping. And then we double up, triple up, quadruple up the amount of activity that we're doing. Because the most important thing in business development is conversion, are your conversion rates. Whatever you do, however you do it, you need to get a better return on activity than you've been getting in the last 12 to 18 months or so. So look at your activity, look at the ROA that you're getting, and make a decision on basically what does good look like? Is it worthwhile doing it anymore? And if it is worthwhile doing, how are you going to do it better so you get a better conversion than you have been getting in the past? Okay, so let's look into how we do all this. How are you standing out from everyone else? Let's start with that point very first of all. And this is not about talking about your USPs. I would bloody well expect you to know your unique selling proposition. I expect you to understand everything about your business, etc. This is not about that piece. If you're not doing that, you haven't got that bit right, then you're buggered anyway. This is about how do you get in front of your customers, and how do you stand out from everybody else in the marketplace in a completely crowded and noisy marketplace? We refer to this as the purple cow effect. Some of you would have heard me talk about this before, is that you have to be the purple cow in your market. You have to stand out for the right reasons within your marketplace. We talk about this in the social scaling program. It's one of the first things we talk about is how do you beat the LinkedIn algorithms to make sure that even the algorithms are placing your content in front of the right people at the right time, so you become that purple cow in a noisy LinkedIn world that you're in. If any of you want a copy of that, let me know, and I'll send you a copy of this algorithm toolkit to show you basically how to beat the bloody algorithms on LinkedIn and at least be a purple cow so your content gets land. We'll work out how good the content is in a minute, but let's make sure it lands. And then you ask yourself some questions and think about this. Just put yourself in the shoes of your customers for 1 second. You are sitting there as a recruiter trying to write some really cleverly crafted emails or make some really cool phone calls or write a really cool email or whatever it is that you're doing. And then you send it out to your customers. When are your customers actually checking these messages that you're sending them? You're checking these notifications that they're getting from you. Well, the reality is most people check their phones when they're half asleep first thing in the morning. When you roll over in bed, you're looking at your phone. It's got your personal stuff on it. It's got your business stuff on it. And you're just scrolling around through it and so on and so forth. That's the reality of how people check their content. So your customers are looking at that really brilliantly crafted email you sent when they're half asleep at 6:30 in the morning, when they're half in the shower, sort of stuff. They're not even awake. So how are they even gonna? It's gonna be really hard for you to stand out at that point. And then if you think about it, we all know that the average person scrolls on their phone ridiculously amounts all day long. In fact, it's equivalent to the shard, 300 meters. So you think about it, you've got people who are half asleep, your customers who are half asleep in bed, looking at their phones with all their personal stuff, scrolling, and somewhere in there is this beautifully crafted email. How the hell is that ever going to land? And that's the problem that you've got. And now we've got an issue with spam filtering as well. So, think about it when you're making a cold call. If you cold call me, my phone says to me, if I don't know you, you are suspected spam. Am I ever going to pick up a phone number or a call that says suspected spam on it? I think it's highly unlikely, let's be honest about it. And now what you have to do is you actually have to type in the name and your reason for calling. So if you're going to cold call me, you need to put in there your name and the reason for calling. So when it comes up, it tells me that, and I now can decide whether I'm going to answer it or not. I'm not saying cold calling works. I can't help thinking though that the way we're going to cold call in the future has got to change, and you've got to learn how to write really cool, compelling messages in this bit here at least before someone's even going to think about answering your cold call, let alone how good you are on the actual cold call itself. Again, the principle hasn't changed. Cold calling still works. The wrapping definitely has changed. Does that make sense? So let's just think about it. The world is changing. The B2B buying process is changing. We've got to therefore change our sales process, because if you don't, rather than being a purple cow, you're going to be one of these ugly black and white cows in the field, like every other recruiter that's out there and every other person that's trying to sell to your customer base right now. That is not good enough. And it's a really, really, really hard slog. Okay, so in today's noisy, oversaturated, over AI'd, over automated world, I think it's really bloody hard to stand out properly, to get traction, to get in front of your customers with just clever words on a script or a clever email or an email. That's a reality. So just by doing more and more of it, using automations is not necessarily going to get you much of a significant change in results. That's just the reality. You'll probably increase, but not significantly. So then we go build a strategy around it. And ultimately, to start with, you go, what is your ultimate objective of your outbound BD activity? And I say this when I train people, I say all the time, what's the point of your sales calls? And they will go, oh, I want to win business. Bugger that. It's not about winning business. If you think every phone call you pick up, that you make, every email you send is about winning business, you've missed the whole point. Because by thinking that, you're just circumnavigating the entire sales process. You're presuming one clever cold email, one clever cold call will most likely turn into new business. And you know what? It may, and congratulations if it does, but it's really, really significantly unlikely if you look at typical conversion ratios. The objective of your outbound activity is one thing, and that is to generate meetings. And those of you who know me know how obsessed I am about having meetings with customers. It is the most critical thing. If you want to do BD properly, you've got to get in front of your customers. You cannot do it from behind an email, behind emails, even just on the telephone. You've got to get in front of your customers, especially in this type of market. If you do a lot of stuff which is remote or international, then Zoom or Teams will do. But at least spend at least 15 to 20 meetings a week with your customer base. If you're not doing that, I think you've got no chance in BD to do it properly. So we've got to absolutely change. We think about the way that we do business development. And meetings are so important. If this is a typical company, whatever the company it might be, you've got the core of the business where they make stuff, where they build the stuff, where they do what they do. And then when we get invited in, we get maybe at best we get invited into their meeting rooms. We don't want to be in their meeting rooms. You have got to learn how to sell and get into their boardrooms. Because if you can get into their boardroom rather than just their meeting room, that's where you can influence decision making. That's where you can challenge their thinking. You can discuss different types of solutions. You can create talent solutions and talent partnerships with them. And that's where you can find this beautiful thing called the white space, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So your objective in your BD strategy is not about just trying to pick up deals and jobs and that type of stuff. Anyone can do that. This is about trying to get inside their business, into the heartbeat of their business, into the boardrooms where you can influence decision making. So I want you to understand that and think about that and start obsessing about that, because if you do, that will make a significant difference. Let me just touch you and talk to you about the white space very quickly. It's something I'm really passionate about. I'm really excited about this year in particular. We've got lots of AI agents, as you know. There's one of the members does an executive search, and they do lots of remuneration surveys and stuff which they sell to their customers for 10 12 grand a go and that type of stuff. So we built some AI agents to help them do that. So this is Carla. So she goes out into any of your market. If any of you want a copy of Carla, by the way, I'll send her across to you and you can use it yourself as an agent. And if you click on Carla or type in your market or your geographical location, Carla will produce for you a beautiful salary and remuneration benchmarking report that you can either give away to your customers or you can sell to your customers if you want to, etc., etc. So that's really simple. We built it specifically for that reason to do it. So you can all have it and you can all go and sell it if you want to, make a bit of cash out of it if you want. That's fine. And it produces a really lovely document report and really, really goes into some depth and some detail about that. Now that's all well and good. That's fine. But imagine now we take that to a whole new level. And this is what we're calling that as the white space. Imagine if you now, using AI, have built a little data center where you are feeding it with data all day long using AI. So it's automatic, doesn't take you any time. And then you're using that data center to feed you with sales leads, to feed you with marketing content, to feed you with these customer dashboards, like the example one I just showed you, or even further, better customer dashboards where your customers can get access to some really pertinent information about their industry, about their markets, about what's going on, etc., etc. You can charge for this. We've got members now who are charging £500 per month times 12 months for their customers, their prospect customers, to access this data and these insights. Now, whether you give it away or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But the process to build this takes seconds. To deliver it takes seconds to your customers. But actually, how your customers think about you, if you're talking to them about the markets, giving them useful, pertinent information, sitting in a boardroom discussing this data about what it means for their hiring plans and their talent pooling, etc., moving forward, you become very, very different. You become a value to them rather than a salesperson to them. And that's really where I want to get salespeople in the recruitment sector back to, because that's what it always used to be, by the way. But we sort of lost the art of it a little bit. So this shift to consultancy and consultancy selling is happening again right now, and I think it's really exciting. But only a small percentage of the industry will get this. The ones who get this will win. The ones who don't get this will just be fighting like all the others as those black and white cows trying to pick up bits of business. And the reason why this is so important is actually when it comes to actually what you're selling to your customers, if you think about this white space and why we call it a white space, at one end you've got recruiters who are in the recruitment industry who are selling recruitment talent services. At the other end, you've got consultancy firms, the big consultancy firms charging a bloody fortune to your customers today. Like, that's why they're delaying on their buying processes, because these consultancy firms are talking to them about how they could be doing talent in the future and what their talent strategy should look like in the face of AI, etc. The bit in the middle called the white space is the bit where recruitment companies are now entering into. And you've got to know how to do this, because A, it's bloody good from a sales point of view, but B, also if you get in there, it's incredibly lucrative, 35-40% margins again. And that's where you're consulting and advising your customers in the same way one of these consultancy firms does, in exactly the same process. And it works. And if any of you want some help with this, I'm going to run a load of courses on this in 2026, at the beginning of the year. I've written some white papers about this already. I'm really happy to show you how to sell into the white space. To me, it's super lucrative. You're fighting for margins right now. This is where you can significantly get your margins up. And this is what we refer to as capability projects. So if you want to sell a capability project, if you want to sell a project which is a partnership type project with your customers, you can't do that over the phone. You can't do that over an email. You've got to be in their boardrooms to be able to do that and have the right conversations with the right people to be able to do it. So that's the principle behind that. Okay, so this is what we call capability projects. And I won't go through this in detail. I'll run you through this on another time. But all these capability projects are happening right now. Your customers are spending a bloody fortune on this stuff right now because they're trying to understand how to manage talent within their businesses moving forward. It's confusing because of what's going on in the marketplace, and they're really trying to fix it. And they're using consultancy firms to help them with it. They should be using you to help them with it instead. Let me just show you this very quickly. This I find fascinating when you sort of think about it. This is an organization using a consultancy company. Okay, so they wanted to implement a new talent acquisition operating model within their business. They're looking at workforce planning, recruitment technology, process redesign, and rollout. The stuff that you talk about with your customers every single day, but you just don't charge for it. They go out to a consultancy firm. The consultancy firm, look at their day rates. They bring together a team of 5 people on these day rates on these for the consultancy. So 5.5 grand, 2,800, 2,000, etc., etc. Those people are out on site with your customers for this amount of time. That's a total of £500,000 that consultancy firm is going to charge your customers to try and fix all these problems and build a new talent acquisition operating model. Now, why can't you do that? Why can't you go and win that business as well? Where you're bringing together a contract team of people to do exactly the same people that they're going to use as well. We're not charging anywhere near as much as those guys are. In fact, we're coming in 70% cheaper if we wanted to, although we'll stick a margin on top of it. But I reckon you can undercut a consultancy firm by 50% and provide them the exact same service that they would have got if they were using a consultancy company. Think about that. That's what we call a capability project. It's bloody exciting and it's high margin business. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, speak to me and I'm happy to walk you through this and build some out within your client base and where you are, and with your customer base where you're working as well in your particular markets. And there's a bunch of other ones we've got. This is another one that we did fairly recently with one of the members. Where we actually built this platform of a way of reducing the spend they were using with multiple agencies just to work with one agency. So it's moving from a dependency to an interdependency model. Again, sounds a bit complicated. It's not complicated, but actually it's only complicated if you don't get into their boardrooms, then you ain't gonna be able to have these types of conversations. And this one here, this is like a £500,000 contract. So really exciting sort of stuff. So these are the sorts of things that TRM members are winning today, which is why there's lots of still opportunities still out there, because this change that we're going through as a world when it comes to talent is creating huge amounts of opportunity for organizations. So it's really interesting when you sort of think about it. Again, happy to discuss this with you. So reach out to me if you're interested. This is why we need to get in front of our customers in their boardrooms. And this is why the sales process is obsessing about that one thing. Again, we've got examples here. This is one of the members here, €500,000 they closed at the end of last year. Absolutely brilliant. 6 months retainer, 25% of the fee up front. Absolutely spot on. Another deal closed, 12-month project, 20% fees paid as a monthly retainer, 350 grand. This stuff, this is being shared on the WhatsApp groups and on my WhatsApp. These are the sorts of stuff that people are winning at the moment, sort of thing. That's what you want to win. Your sales strategy has to drive that type of business. If it's just about picking up jobs because you're banging the phones, you've come to the wrong place as far as I'm concerned. And I think you're getting it wrong in 2026. If any of you are interested in capability projects, obviously I built an AI agent for it, I think as you imagine. But if you want a copy of it, I'll send it through to you. And this is basically, you just type in your market and your location, and it will show you in your target audience, in your target market, who are currently looking for capability projects, where are capability project opportunities. So I've built the opportunity for you. You just got to go and bloody get the damn thing, right? So there's no excuse not to win this type of stuff. And again, if you want examples of proposals and contracts and terms, we've done all that for you. We'll share all that with you as well. So there's no problems at all. There's no excuse not to do this. The only excuse is there's no excuse. I can't think of anything answer that. Okay, cool. So then it comes back into, therefore, how many prospect customers are you, your recruiters, getting in front on every single week? And as I said, when I started in recruitment, the principles haven't changed. We were doing 15 to 20 client meetings every single week. We didn't have Zoom and Teams. We had to walk the streets to go and win business. Now, I'm not saying that's the old way and good old days, that type of stuff, but the reality is it was good old days, actually. And in the reality, in a world where we're losing trust, it's the only way to build proper trust is to eyeball your customers as much as anything else. So you've got to get in front of your customers as much as you possibly can. Lots of ways of doing it. And when I send you through some of the BD playbooks, you'll see this in the funnel strategies that we've built. But here's a quick example. One of the members, London recruitment company, 14 staff. I targeted them in getting in front of more customers than they currently were. So we gave them a very simple channel to be able to focus on, which was focusing on around round tables. And we said, right, what I want you to do now is build a round table strategy to try and get in front of every single week 100, 200, 300 customers that you aren't currently in front of. So what did we do? We generated a lot of interest. So we found a lot of information around, in this particular case, around some of the employment legislation changes that are up and coming. The whole sales approach that week was not about, do you want to buy from us, but was all about, do you understand what's going on in the market around employment legislation? We've got a round table coming up where we've got a specialist who's going to help you understand it. Do you want to come? So rather than selling to you, I'm adding value to you. I'm inviting you to a round table. They had 132 prospects who signed up for the round table. I think about 90 actually turned up. You always get a load of dropouts as you tend to do with these things. In the round table, they added loads of value, no selling. They just added loads and loads of value, but we created a very nice, simple one-to-one follow-up thing to do, which is in this case to complete a legislation audit. That was a one-to-one call to action that came off the back of the round table, and off the back of that they had 41 prospect meetings. So think about that as a process. Really bloody simple. We've identified where the issue was for a customer, where their pain was. We thought we'd add some value to them. We're not going to sell to them whatsoever. And off the back of that, through the process, they ended up with 41 one-to-one meetings with prospect customers. What a nice, simple channel to follow. And imagine you did that every single bloody week. And one week you might get 3 prospects who follow up. One week you might get 103. Who knows? But if you're doing it every single week, then it works. And over a period of time, you're going to get more and more meetings with customers. Not that complicated when you think about it as a principle, but hopefully that sort of makes some semblance of sense. So just as an example, so how do we get into these customers' boardrooms to talk to them about projects, bigger opportunities, capability projects, etc., etc., etc. And this is what everything I'm going to talk about in 2026 is going to be built around this. It's about having an omni-channel or a multi-channel approach, and where you are focusing on adding value to your marketplace. You are being super visible to your marketplace, so you are on all the time and in their faces all the time and in their feeds all the time, and you're doing it at velocity, so it's happening continuously in the background. That's where AI and some of the automation stuff I'm going to show you will show you how to be able to do that. Okay, cool. So it's about an omni-channel approach, value, visibility, and velocity, taking cold customers, multiple cold customers, and continuously warming them up and continuously converting them into meetings, which is obviously what we want to do, and then obviously into buying customers off the back of that. So let's have a think about this. This is a list of the key HR priorities this year in order. So this is in priority order. So My first question is, these are the people you're selling to. How many of you actually knew this? Be honest with me. How many of you actually knew that these were their priorities? And B, what are you currently doing right now to talk to them about these issues, to help them navigate this list of stuff? So there we go. There's a list for you there. How many of you have actually, in the last 30 days, are actually doing something to add value to your customers who are thinking about all these things on the left hand side? And all these things on the left hand side came from an HR community. So this is not me making this up. This is what HR professionals are saying in order are the biggest priorities for them right now. You as recruiters need to be in front of them in their boardrooms, talk to them about this stuff, providing them with data, insights, information, support to help them navigate this. That's where you add value. That's where you build trust. That's where you become useful. And that's where you can get customers to want to buy from you rather than you trying to push into buying from customers. So think about your marketplace. Think about what their pain points are at the moment. And then think about a multiple channel strategy, a multiple channel approach to how we can then get in front of our customers. We've got to go to where our customers are to make decisions. You can't just have one singular approach to be able to do. So let's have a look at how that looks. So where do you start with all this? You start with the ICP. I've spoken about this, I think, probably every day in 2025, and the importance of understanding your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Who are you targeting? What are they consuming? Where are they getting their content from? Where are they hanging out? What sort of information are they looking for? What are their pain points? How much do you honestly know about the people that you are selling to? Because if you don't, and my experience is many recruiters haven't really thought about this properly, you're never going to get your content, your emails, your stuff to land properly and cut through the noise and be that purple cow within your marketplace. Now, again, if any of you want a copy of this, this is something we produced a little while ago as part for the social scaling program, which is a sort of a content toolkit called Personas and Pyramids. If you want a copy of it, just to say, give me a yes or a thumbs up, and we'll ping it across to you afterwards. It's completely free to access and utilize. But it's a way of building out and understanding exactly what it is that your target customer personas are looking for, what they need, the information they're looking for, what's going to land the best, where it's going to land the best, and so on and so forth. Because if you don't know this, you're really limiting your chances as much as anything else. This will show you what their buying journey and their triggers are. So when they typically need to use a recruiter, for example, what their budgets are like, how do they like to be communicated and contacted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. So we built this for you. You just need to finish it off and adapt it to your marketplace. Now, to help you with that, obviously, we've built an agent to do that so we can cut things short. So again, if you type in the name of your ideal customer profile and locations, let's say, for example, you targeted software firms in London, this tool I'm going to send you, if you want a copy of it, will do two things. It will build out your ICP. So it'll build out an actual document all about your ideal customer profile that you can save and use that as part of any of your outreach campaigns, especially when you're using AI agents to build those campaigns for you. But it'll also build out a content plan for you as well for your social media strategy next week at the same time. So this comes from our social scaling course again. So again, nothing rocket science. We've built this for you. Use it. This will significantly change how you're doing things already. But you see what I'm trying to do here. There's an art to this and there's a science to this. And I'm trying to bring the two together to give you a bit of a plan or a bit of a strategy. So if I type in here, for example, fintech business in London, it not only will map out for me the complete ideal ICP for me and the ICP document, which is brilliant. I can save that and use that in all my other content, but it'll then also actually build out a whole content planner for me as well. Took a quick screen grab over here. It's gone a bit blurry actually. But there's an example of an ICP for this particular one, which is a fintech based in London. So that work done. No more heavy lifting. Now we try and use it to go and win business. That's the whole key. So then we ask the question, which channels do you currently use for your outreach? Remember, we're talking about a multi-channel strategy. So are you using different channels for your outreach campaigns, et cetera, et cetera? There's obviously the obvious channels, the social media channel. I'm not quite sure why there's Tinder on here. I'll have to take that one off next time. Not mine, by the way, to make it very, very clear. But there are obviously lots of different channels that you could utilize. The most important thing is to know where your ideal customers are hanging out. So if they're on Facebook, go to Facebook. If they're on Twitter or X, go to X. If they're on Snapchat, use Snapchat. If they're there, that's where they are. If they're not there, then don't bother going there. Fairly obvious thing to say, but have a little think about that. And we can look at it from a demographics point of view as well. And you can get as deep with this as you like. You know, where do 16 to 24-year-olds tend to hang out? So we know the data, we know where they are. So if your ideal customer profile is 16 to 24-year-old from a candidate or client point of view, and this is where they're hanging out, then what are you doing? Are you on Snapchat? Are you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok? If you're not, you're missing a trick. 25 to 45-year-olds have a slightly dimmer demographic of where they're hanging out. That's where we need to be, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. So there's a science to this. There's data behind this. We don't need to second guess it. But when you've got the data, you add that to your ICP and you pump it into all your AI agents that are helping you build out these sales strategies that we're talking about. Then they land and then they work properly. So let's understand your ideal customer profile, understand as much as we can about them, and then let's adapt our outreach process to them. Because ultimately, I'm not in the baby boomers. I'd like to make that very clear. I'm a Gen X. But ultimately, how I like to be sold to is very, very different from potentially someone who's a Gen Z. I've got a different attention span, different way I like to be sold to, different way I like to receive content and information, etc., etc. So, baby boomers and Gen X, they prefer in-person meetings. They like emails, but they're still open to getting calls, etc. Whereas Gen Zs who want video snippets or visual storytelling, etc. So you should be WhatsApping them with video introductions, etc., etc. You get the idea. Adapt it to the different buying styles, adapt it to your different generations, adapt it to your personal ICP. If we know what your ideal customer profile is, then make sure we're writing content that they want, sending it to them at the time that they want, to the places where they're hanging out. If you're not, it's not going to land. It's fairly simple as that. And again, I'll share with you some quick tips and some tricks that we can share with you as well. And then when you're building out your strategy, this is all about flipping the narrative right now. So I just want to sort of explain this as a sort of a general principle. The question is not how can I sell to my ICP? This is where sales, I think, has been bastardized over the years. But it's how can I get my ICP to want to buy from me? There is a huge difference between those two questions. Not how can I sell to my ICP, but how can I get my ideal customer profile to actually want to buy from me? This is where proper solution insight selling works absolutely brilliantly. And what I was always trained on the first day I did recruitment and how I still sell today, it's about getting customers to want to buy from you rather than trying to push a customer to buy from you. They're two different things. Look at the sales strategy. Look at it from two sides. There's an outbound and there's an inbound side to sales. The outbound side is all around your cold calling, your LinkedIn outreach, your email marketing. It's all about you poking and prodding and pushing your customers. Hey, do you want to buy from me? I'm here. Do you want to buy from me? Hey, I'm here, etc., etc. That's all the outbound stuff. Okay, and that's fine. And you need to have those channels working. So it doesn't mean you don't do cold calling anymore, for God's sake, or email marketing, but you've got to think about your channel strategy. How do we make cold calling land better than it does today based on what we know? How do we make emails land better at the right way, at the right time, etc., etc., etc. So we build a channel strategy for our chosen 4 or 5 outbound channels. But then we also think about our inbound channel strategy as well. And this to me is really exciting. When I see this working with recruitment companies and recruiters, you just know they've got this sorted. And this is about how do I use LinkedIn, not just to poke and prod people with emails, but to build a proper network that's engaged. How do I use Instagram or Facebook to build communities? How do I run or go to events and use events to build a better relationship with my marketplace? Place candidate campaigns is a toolkit I've used for ages. I can share with you afterwards. My partner channels. Have you got a partner channel set up where you've got people basically reselling for you all the time? Are you building a community or a community platform? Are you running roundtables? Are you doing podcasts? Have you got a referral program? Have you worked out how AI SEO actually works within your business? I created a guide to it, an idiot's guide to it last week. If any of you are interested, I'll ping it across to you. Not about SEO, but about AI SEO. So how do basically when someone searches for something on AI, on ChatGPT, you actually come up. That's the new search ranking rather than just on Google, etc. So you've got outbound and you've got inbound. They're two different things. They're both really bloody important, but you've got to have a strategy for each of those ones. You pick 3 or 4 for each. You pick 3 or 4 outbound. You pick 3 or 4 inbound. You then build a proper strategy for each one, and that's what you drive forward. And you use tech and AI to help you with that. Then it becomes really interesting because then suddenly your sales strategy looks like an engine, looks like a machine. There's lots of stuff going on every single day. It's multi-channel. It's creating and adding value to your marketplace. It's creating visibility, and you're using tech and AI to do it at velocity, which is super, super important. Again, I've got guides to all these areas here that you can see. If once you pick your channels, I'll show you how to do it properly, and you get the idea. Let's use webinars or podcasts as an example of that. Just a very quick one on podcasts. Because everyone talks about, yeah, it's quite interesting doing podcasts and gives you a bit of content to write about. Rubbish, means nothing. Podcasts are really important because it's the easiest way to get in front of a collective group of targeted decision makers that you want to get in front of. I've got loads of data to show you this about the difference in conversion ratios between doing cold calling or doing podcasts and the results that you can do on both. Not saying cold calling doesn't work, but I wouldn't be doing one or the other. I'll be doing both for obvious reasons, because I know I get a much, much better return on investment from podcasts into meetings. Let's look at a quick example of that. Again, this is how you can use AI to help you with that. Let's say you recruited in SaaS sales. So I want to do a podcast for SaaS sales leaders. In fact, I want to get in front of, let me rephrase that. I want to get in front of 10 of the leading SaaS tech sales leaders. So ultimately, I can then become their friends and then sell to them. So I go into ChatGPT. I use one of my agents. What are the top 10 podcasts for SaaS sales tech leaders? And it will give me a list here. These are the top ones based on certain criteria I give it, whether it be likes, views, engagement, etc., etc. Brilliant. So I've now got a list of all the top SaaS sales podcasts. I then go for each of those podcasts. Who are the five most popular guests on each one? And then it will give me a really nice. Where is it? I didn't do it. And then it will give me a really nice list of all the people who are the top podcast guests on those SaaS sales podcasts. So I've now got this fantastic list. If I now cold called all that list, I've got no chance of getting through to any of them. Let's be honest about it. However, if I invited all those people on to come and join me on my podcast next week, because I'm doing a podcast series about the top 10 most inspirational SaaS sales leaders, I can pretty much guarantee at least 50% of them will come on it. So if I've invited 30 people, I'll probably get 15 people who will say yes. That's 15 one-to-one meetings I'm going to have. Now, yes, it's a podcast, but don't get me wrong, I've now got a chance to have a chunk conversation with them, a follow-up with them, and so it goes on, and so it goes on. You get the idea. It's not more complicated than that, but we're thinking strategically, because all I want to do is get in front of them. I want to be eyeball to eyeball with these people. However I do it, I will bloody well make it happen. So the idea is build a strategy for each channel, make each channel AI augmented, but not AI replaced. And this is where we've got to get this piece right. So don't start using AI to do all your outreach and your content, all that sort of rubbish. You use AI to do all the heavy lifting, and then you keep the last bit super, super human and super, super personal. Otherwise, you're just going to lose trust with your marketplace with them in seconds. So look at LinkedIn, for example. We talk about this in the social scaling. Think about LinkedIn when you're creating LinkedIn content. You probably spend about 20% of your time posting your content, engaging with your network on LinkedIn, etc., because you just haven't got much time, because you're spending more time coming up with content ideas and identifying who the thought leaders are and designing carousels and repurposing content, all that sort of rubbish that you can do. Absolutely wrong. That's just time wasting on LinkedIn. So flip that on its head, and we build a whole load of AI agents, which we've done in social scaling, and they do all the heavy lifting for us. They do all that stuff on that left-hand side, which means when I'm doing anything on my content creation on LinkedIn, etc., I'm posting, I'm commenting, I'm engaging, I'm connecting, I'm booking in meetings, I'm converting those hooked ICPs that I've got. So I'm spending far more time doing the right stuff and not the waste of time stuff, the admin stuff when it comes to sales. That's just an example. You could take that and that's thing from LinkedIn, and you could use that in any part of the sales process: cold calling, email marketing. Get AI to do all the heavy lifting for you, but you do the last bit, so it feels human. It means you can do a hell of a lot more of it than you were doing before. And again, we've got guides for each of these different areas of each of the different channels, whether it be this one here is around, what's this one about? Automated recruitment outreach using, this is about email outreach. So there's a whole outreach thing using AI. Again, I'm happy to share it with you if you're interested. It's about how to use AI to build proper outreach campaigns for you that you can just top and tail and then take out. So it feels like you, it is you, it's superhuman, it's personalized, but the heavy lifting's been done by AI for you, which is great. I'm sure you've all done this, but start with building a little clone out. This is my sales clone. Anything I do from a sales point of view. I built an agent. It's my sales clone. I'm happy to share a copy with you. I'll send you the prompt if you like, if you want to use that. So if I'm building sales strategies or channel strategies or marketing content, whatever, I'll go to my sales clone to do it for me because it's already built. It's free, which is great. And again, I won't go through this in detail. Here's the information about how I built it. If any of you're not familiar with that, happy to share that with you to show you how to build one yourself. And there's the prompt that I used as well, which I'll ping across to you afterwards. You can do it as well for things like ICP. So this is another one we built called a Job Scout. This one literally looks at all your ICPs, and then every day it scrapes different jobs that your ICP are currently searching for. So in this one here, I typed in find open roles for my ICP, SaaS sales leaders, and then it will start producing a list for me of all the live vacancies that they've got or they've just started to advertise, etc., etc. So again, there's lots of stuff that you can use with AI to do the heavy lifting for you, to allow you to A, have an omni-channel, multi-channel strategy, B, to be able to give more and more value to your customers, but be super visible, and then do this at scale with a bit of velocity as well. So that all makes sense. So I don't think there's any rocket science in this, because this is how I've always done sales, I suppose. But I do think that we've lost the art of selling, and I do think we've lost the science that sits behind it. I think you bring those things back, I think it becomes really, really quite interesting. So that's why we built out all these strategies. We've got the new accelerator framework, which is the bigger picture thing for your company. So if you're a recruitment leader, this is the framework to how to grow a future relevant recruitment company in 2026. And then we've got this new velocity BD playbook that we're building that I'll share with you at the end of this month as well, if you're interested. But have a strategy, have a plan, and adapt it to what the markets are doing, how the markets have changed. The core principles haven't changed. It's the wrapping that has changed. Remember that. That's super, super important to remember. Otherwise, you're just going to be hammering the same now and trying to get the same sort of results. I hope that's been useful for you. Obviously, any of you are members of TRN. If you want to do a one-to-one with me and you want me to come in and help you with your BD strategy, of course we will do. It's what we do every day. So reach out to me. We'll work with your team, we'll work with your consultants, and we'll help build out the actual multi-channel strategy with you. If you're not a member of TRN, come and join us. This is a great time to be part of a community like this. We'll do some really interesting stuff this year. And I will say I'm super excited by 2026. I don't think the markets have changed massively. I think the markets are still going to be fairly tough in 2026. Who knows what Trump's going to do next? But it's all going to be challenging. We're going to have different types of challenges, etc. The market's definitely a little bit better than it was, but it's still going to have its challenges. That doesn't change the fact that actually, if you're better at winning market share and better types of business, you can do really, really bloody well in 2026. I can't control the markets, but I can definitely control and help you control your businesses and your sales strategy moving forward. So, if you're interested in joining us, get involved. As always, I hope you found that useful. I hope that's given you some insights. Apologies if it was a bit fast, but you know me. We'll share all the slides with you. We'll share all the tools I've talked about, etc., etc. And if there's anything else that you need, please reach out to me. Really happy to have a chat with you. But I really want to say this. 2026 has the opportunity to be a fantastic year. If you decide to make it a fantastic year, that's up to you. I can't control that. All right. Have a fantastic rest of the day and look forward to catching up very soon. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Cheers.